Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I am Nocterra, your host. So I was going through some of these replays that y'all have been sending me up, and you know what? I had a bunch of Threeplays in there. So I thought, well, you know, why don't we do a more Threeplays episode? It's kind of weird to see all these 3-star replays when, you know, we're pretty far along in the season now here. We're heading into the back half of the season, and these are, again, typically near max and max bases that we're going up against. So good solid defenses and some even better offense. We'll start off with one from Ben, and I wanted to start off with this one because it is a drop Mitch, or a Schwimmy. You don't really see this very often anymore in the higher levels of play, and Ben, of course, is always at the higher levels. And it's a pretty cool attack strategy. I started using this a long time ago back at Builder Hall 7, and it's always been one of my favorites. You start off with some witches in the upper corner typically. I mean, you can put them anywhere depending upon the layout of the base, but the witches go in, they start sending in the bats, which typically distract the defenses, and in go the balloons to act as further distractions and drop some skellies all about. And behind that comes your beta minions to begin the process of really culling the defenses. This works really well against bases that have the air defenses, the key air defenses, right out on the outside where you can get to them quick. In this particular case, you take a look at it, you see that roaster and the air bombs were both right up there at the top of the base. That's generally a call out to the guys that are running air, because if you see those so quick and easy to access, you're going to jump at the opportunity to take them out early. And if you can do that, then the strongest of the air targeting defenses are gone, and a lot of times your troops will last even longer. That's especially the case when you use a drop Mitch like this, because first and foremost, you've got the Night Witches, which are going to be doing their own damage, but they're bats. She sends a ton of bats in, and when she finally dies, she spawns even more bats that go in. You can end up with a huge pack of bats all the way into the end of your attack strategy or your attack run, and that's exactly what we see here. I mean, look at all those bats are still alive, and really, there's nothing that's going to stop them. The beta minions and the bats continue to work together until finally the very last army camp falls and we got a 3-star for 100%. And this is, again, relatively max base. There's a couple of walls that the guy's working on, but that doesn't matter when you're, doing an air attack. This next one here from Kinda 503 over Nathan's King. This looks to me like it is a fully maxed base. Well, no, I think there's a couple of walls on the sides there. Yeah, there's just a couple of walls left. But, again, not going to be that big of a deal. We're going to come in from the top left with a GiBoCCa. This has really been catching on. I'm seeing more and more of these being run against my own bases sometimes even. It's just a great, solid strategy to use. Now, you send in your boxer giants to start distracting the defenses, and then down goes a line of bombers that blows away the walls, and then finally in comes your cannon carts to start with the mass destruction. You want to kind of line that super P.E.K.K.A up at the very end there so that she goes over toward the giant cannon. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. In this particular case, it didn't really matter. The giant cannon zeroed in on the battle machine instead, which is alright. Sometimes that works out okay too. Just kind of depends on the timing in that as to how well that'll work. I mean, there are times when that battle machine just goes down like a light. I mean, nothing flat. He's gone and over with. And the giant cannon moves from one set of troops to the next and just starts throttling your attack. But it works out well for Kinda 503 here, and walks away with yet another 3-star. Moving on to the next one. How about a little Mitch action from Ragnarok? Now this base, a little bit lower in the rankings. I think he's running down in the lower to mid 4,000s. And that's why you see the lower level walls. But sitting aside the walls, looking at the defenses, we've got the max defenses here. And the Night Witches come in the corner. Pretty typical of a Mitch. He's also picking off a few things down there at the bottom, you can see, with his beta minions. Whenever you run one of these Mitch attacks, that's the way you want to do it. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the trophy rankings or whether you're even a Builder Hall 7 or not. Try to use a couple, 3 of those beta minions to pick off some of those outer buildings just to get that extra bit of percentage points. And then when you send in your Night Witches for the main attack run. Wait until the bats go down, and then boom, hit it with the rest of the beta minions and let them kind of sweep through the base. It's a good, solid strategy. Works against a lot of different bases. You're not going to see this as often at the top levels of play. Now, a little bit earlier, Ben was using a version of this, the Drop Mitch, that worked really well against that particular base because of the accessibility of the air targeting defenses. And that's why Mitch works against this one as well. Now, once again, the air targeting defenses are right there, easy to get to and very quickly taken out of the picture, with the exception of that Mega Tesla. But that's all right because there's plenty of juice left over at the end of the attack for the troops to go in and take that out and get the last few bits and pieces to pull yet another 3-star out of the woodwork. Like I said, it's cool to see all these 3-star replays. We used to only show 3 plays back when the builder base was still really rolling out. And back then you had a lot of rushed bases, so it was fairly common to see 3 stars from the better players in the game. Not as much at the higher levels of play that we see today. Here we got Clo123 running a GiBoCC. This one without the Super P.E.K.K.A. Super P.E.K.K.A is optional. I like it. Works really, really well. But the same strategy holds up whether you use a Super P.E.K.K.A and place some giants or cannon carts or not. You take out the walls with your with your bombers. I've been spending a lot of time in war lately. You take out the walls with your bombers after tanking a little bit for them with those boxer giants. Send in that nice an offensive line of cannon carts right behind the boxer giants. In goes the battle machine. Let him do a little bit of damage along the way. And before you know it, you just sweep right through the base. This is that offensive line I've talked about in so many of my other videos. If you can form it up, it's just a nice line that sweeps right through the base. You almost treat them like they're a box base regardless of whether they're diamond, box, or otherwise. And when you take out the walls, it's just like with air attacks. Walls don't matter to air attacks. If you can get the walls gone in a ground attack, they really don't matter a whole lot to the ground attack either, which is why that sweeping offensive line works so well in these attacks. And as is typical with a lot of the 3 stars, down at the end of the attack, you maybe only have the battle machine or just a couple, 3 different troops left over that are going to work their way through the last few buildings. You got 3 minutes. Use them. There's plenty of time, and there's absolutely no rush. Here we got Bladesmith working on a bracket base. This version of the bracket base has been popping up a lot. I kind of like it. I like the way it's got those, top and bottom pieces there. I don't know. It looks kind of cool to me. I don't know. But he's going to run GiBoCC. No, GiBoCCa. He's got Super P.E.K.K.A in there. You can see it runs very much the same as the other one we just watched, and as the last one, it was just a GiBoCC. Going in with the giants to tank and kind of take a little bit of heat off of everybody. Sending in your bombers to blow away some of the walls, and then sending that Super P.E.K.K.A down the side where the giant cannon is. Again, like the other GiBoCCa, the giant cannon doesn't fixate on the Super P.E.K.K.A. Works out okay though, because while it's so busy trying to shoot at the boxer giants, the cannon carts are able to get up there and do a little bit of damage, and the boxer giants do the damage to take it out of the picture. With that gone, and then the battle machine finally taking out that roaster, there's just nothing left to stop this attack from succeeding. And the Super P.E.K.K.A will do a little more damage as she blows up. And finally we end up with, we got 1, 2, 3 cannon carts, 4 cannon carts left over at the very end of the attack to finish it up and take out those last couple of buildings to give us yet another 3-star. Our very last replay of the video here. We're going to close it out with another one from Ben, and this one's going to be a shimmy. A little minion drop action on a Sidewinder eyebrow base, if you will. Starts off dropping down his beta minions. A little spammy attack, but that's alright. It works out really well. Beta minions will start taking out some of those outside structures there and then work their way into some of the high hit point structures like that lab, for example, and the gold storage we saw just a second ago. All the while, the dropships work their way in and take on most of the heat from those firecrackers and the hidden Teslas. Before you know it, most of the worst is gone, and we can drop that battle machine in to let him start doing some more damage as well. What makes this one work so well as a 3-star? Well, I'll give you the answer if you don't already know. Take a look at what's almost to the bottom of the base and just now finally becoming engaged when 68% of the base is gone. That's right. Air bombs to the outside. If you put those air bombs so far away like that, don't be surprised if somebody comes from the other side and just decimates the base with some kind of an air attack. In this case, air takes out everything. You got beta minions left over at the very end. They're going to work with the battle machine to finish off that air bombs. And finally, they're going to work to the last 2 or 3 buildings that are left on there. Battle machine doesn't even matter. He can't even get out of the walls yet. Those level 8 walls just hold him back in the worst way. But in the end, we've got a 100% 3-star, and that is it for our latest 3-play video. Comments, questions, drop them down below. I appreciate y'all sticking around to the end of the video. I respond to every comment and every email, so definitely if you've got anything you want to say, let me know. On that note, I'm going to get out of here, and y'all take care. Keep on clashing. Bye-bye.